Ancient Egypt is a nexus point in the space-time continuum. A lot of things go back to ancient Egypt and what they inherited, including the following thread. How the Nephilim look like clowns, and how ancient Egypt is the origin of what we know as clowns today, as well as the continuation of secret society mystery schools and the origin of the ancient Jed school, Jed pillars, the cult of Osiris, contact with real species of spirits, and the connection between Enoch's fallen angel group, all the way through till today, with Hollywood channelers and even CERN. And how over time, all over the world in many cultures, there's this same generic Nephilim prison suit, clown outfit, and rituals. Sacred clown-type shamanic priesthood rituals to contact and worship these beings, along with dragons and other patterns you can see on my Theory of Everything playlist. But today we're going to dive into an interesting thread starting in the book of Enoch and this thread about makeup. An interesting rabbit hole about how makeup can be used as technology. You're saying, what do you mean technology? Good question. Aside from one of the obvious uses of seduction, which you see carried into through today, it even goes deeper than that. There was this whole aspect of transformation and possession and things like sigils and tattoos with paint and other things that you would paint on your body like makeup that could kind of enhance or contact the spirit realm as a form of matching technology. One of the hidden uses of makeup. Seduction was just part of it, which also connects in through sex magic. You see this imitation pattern throughout history, and even the Hindu gods' faces, and many cultures the gods or faces depicted like this. You see in the Bible how Jezebel used makeup. And there's even modern theories about cosmetics about how it's a form of mind control. How it goes into the brain and puts women in a cycle where they have to keep spending money on something that's actually destroying their skin. And they have to keep doing it over and over to feel like they need to keep up. And how the word glamour itself is tied into witchcraft. So this makeup, possession, clown connection all ties into what Azazel taught men. Video plug on my page about Azazel. Also, the modern origin of the clown goes back to Egypt. So does the concept of the Jed pillar and the modern Jedi and Star Wars concepts and the Force. This flows perfectly into the Star Wars demon thread. Aside from characters also with this same face appearance, you do some research and find how there's actual demon connections to these characters, such as Yoda and Darth Maul. Yoda was said to be based off of a demon, summoned by Freemasons supposedly. And check out what this African tribe leader, Credo Mutwa, has to say about Darth Maul and these beings.
And what surprises me is this. Some film producers, like the producers who make the film Star Wars, often show creatures in their films which actually exist, which even the most uneducated of Africans who knows this Chitauli can identify. For example, in the new Star Wars film, there is a creature who amazes me called Darth Maul. That is exactly what the Chitauli look like. I just wonder where these film producers get their information.
Interesting thread about the cult of Osiris and the Jed pillar, which looks kind of like the Jedi lightsaber handle. You'll notice how there was a Koreshian false messianic movement that was a cult. And then later a guy named David Koresh who also used this word Koresh. Doing some quick research, you'll find this word Koresh is based off of the word Cyrus, which I'm speculating ties into Osiris, both having to do with the sun in etymology. The Koreshians were even expecting Cyrus T, their leader, to resurrect, Osiris style. And speaking of the Force, many of the ancient Egyptians believed we lived in a Matrix-type simulation, a simulated interactive environment that you could manipulate and control. So the concept of the Force and all this comes from ancient Egyptian stuff, the net, which ties into netters, nature spirits, and other connections you'll see, including this whole concept of a net and how it ties in with the internet and web, and how both nets and webs are used to catch something. Wonder what they're trying to catch or trap. Hope it's not you. I also wonder if demons or supernatural things are related to things like foreign accent syndrome. Is there a spiritual phenomena element? Example, one lady born and raised in Texas her whole life in her 30s had jaw surgery and woke up with a perfect English accent like she's from England. And this has happened in many cases. And also weird things with heart transplants and personality changes, and other weird things that maybe science can't explain. What does this have to do with consciousness transfers, the same concepts that they wanted to mummify bodies for the pharaohs to then transfer their consciousness, which you even see things like cryo-encrypted Walt Disney having the same idea, and this whole resurrection of Osiris plan I'm going to re-bring up, which ties into CERN, future deep dive. Either way, with all this mystery and power, remember God has the ultimate power. He had the oldest man outrunning the fastest horses in the world. Plus, Elijah's whole life was just straight up fascinating. Aside from outrunning a chariot, he was taken to heaven in one, frequently did miracles, resurrected the dead, frequently teleported and translated, just like Philip in the New Testament was one time, which is the thing. And apparently he was a warrior who the prophets of Baal got just completely slumped by, 850 of them. He prayed to make it rain and many other miracles. And I'm speculating that his power, obviously coming from God, but also coming from the 40-day fast that only mentioned him, Moses, and Jesus did, all three of them having the most supernatural power. Future deep dive on fasting. Speaking of Elijah outrunning the chariots, and that being the origin of this word, I'm going to wish you Godspeed.